But when you look at the situation, a young person spending $400 on a pair of shoes, $350 on a pair of shoes, and more money for the clothes, and then every show, every stage show, every person who comes from overseas, they come to this show. And sometimes, let's say if it's a guy, he comes with a girlfriend. So sometimes you have to buy clothes for yourself, shoes for yourself, probably clothes for his girlfriend, and ticket money plus drinks. Now, when you check this thing, for that event, it can cost you easily sometimes at least $500 for that event. And these are things people do a couple of times for the year. Now, sometimes don't you think that we are the problem and we are the reason why we do not make progress?
Well,
Hello, good day everyone. Welcome to Tropical People and Places TV. And today we have a young man with us. His name is Mr. Julian Villino. And Mr. Julian has on many occasions tried to represent his community in different ways, different problems that affect the community. He tends to bring it to light. And recently he has been very instrumental in educating the people on how to protect themselves during the virus season. And so today, let me welcome Mr. Villino one more time to this program.
Thank you, my brother.
So, we have heard that it is the intention of the Prime Minister to open up the country to people from the U.S. around the 4th of June, in order to kind of start with the pushing of the economy one more time, especially in the tourism sector. Do you see that as a good move, and what do you think that we as citizens should do to support and to encourage the moving of the economy without problems to us in terms of contamination of ourselves or infection?
Well, to start off in the first place, you see a lot of these people who was working in the hotel areas, these people lose their jobs, and a lot of these people, they staying in houses where they was renting. So right now they're like, look at up north. When you're up north and you're renting a place for $900 a month or $1,000 depending on the place, because remember the people have to pay the bank, they have to pay because the house and land and stuff. So these people, they depend on that to sustain their livelihood. So a lot of people who invest in those things, they cannot wait all 4 to 6 months for the country to open back up and tourism in order for them to make their living. So we do not want to let the situation get too bad where we have to have those people who rent in those places come and chase people out of their home. That will not look well. So the government is coming up with a plan to make something happen, but it takes a little time to get everything processed. So what I want to do is let them start to proceed with it, and if we see any flaws, we'll be able to speak about it. But the flaws start is with the foreign leaders. Like, look down here, we kind of took it serious by wearing masks to really curb the spread and staying at home. But the people in foreign countries like America, the Trump not really enforcing people to wear masks and stuff. These people, they're not really disciplined at all, whether it's protests, whether it's going back to work. Right now, they're still going back at the bar. They're drinking, socializing, and they know they have the sickness running. The virus is designed to spread everywhere. So if people don't want to take it serious, the country will not open back up. So that's how it is.
So what do you think that we can do as locals to protect ourselves? Let's just say somebody comes in from the States and for somehow they were not detected and they infected or whatever.
They were not detected. Well,
what
that's something you can't control.
Yeah, what are the things that you think we can do, like traveling on the buses and moving around the country? What are the things that you feel we should do or we can do to protect ourselves?
Well, it starts with washing your hand, like they tell you. When you board in the bus, the handle of the bus is what carrying the community spread. You know, it contaminates everywhere. So what people do, when you board in the bus, you're grabbing the handle, because remember when you're grabbing those handles, so everybody, when you reach home, what I can tell you, in order to break the community spread, before you grab the handle for your home, because you're not living alone, most likely you have to wash your hand, you know, before you enter your own environment. Doesn't it make sense? Because a lot of people, they go at the home and they reach there, they don't grab the handle with that same door after they come off the bus, because everybody grabbing it, of course. When you reach there, you use the remote, you put the TV on, then you go and you come from work, you want to shower, you go and grab the kettle to put it to get warm, and then your children in the house, they don't grab the remote, they don't get they don't get the virus on their hand, especially if it's a little child. Oh, then the little child then put that finger in their mouth, they then starting to cough. So this is how the virus spreads, while it's very difficult to control. So no matter how we try and stop that spread of the virus, the way we as elderly will discipline ourselves, the young children don't really believe in the invisible enemy. So all we can do is try our best and learn to live with the risk.
So there are a lot of, even if we open up, there's still a lot of hotels where people will not be starting work right away. So there will still be a lot of people who are unemployed. And we're seeing that some businesses will be affected. As somebody who has been involved in sales yourself and into your own business, what are the areas you feel like young people who are working in hotels who probably will lose their jobs, what are the areas that you feel people can get into in terms of employing themselves? Self-employment.
Self-employment. Well, that is the only thing right now that is really available is, you know, growing your family, which takes a lot of time. So it's very difficult to, you know, to talk about it. Though the way to make fast money in employment, you see worldwide everywhere, people need masks. So we have to learn to associate with people who sew in clothes and stuff. These people have the sewing machines and stuff. People who fix in seats, you can associate with these people. Yeah, these people will do a good job at educating you how you can make masks, or you can Google and YouTube how to make your face shield. Also, there are opportunities that I want to speak about, but the thing is, when I let it out, people kind of, you know, take advantage of it. So in order to survive, we have to learn to adapt. If you don't want to adapt, you want to continue to live the same life, all habits die hard.
Now, one of the areas that I believe that still has a lot of potential is in the area of agriculture, the area of farming.
Oh, Mother Nature will provide, man. Eh?
Now, when we look at the situation, we never used to really be bringing in all of these pigeon peas from overseas. Now you go to the supermarket and you see a lot of pigeon peas, and we can grow that here.
I've heard you talking about that. I really want to invest in that also, because where the trees die, we have to learn to try and grow it back. So it's a good opportunity for us to try and, you know, grow back the land. If we don't grow back the land, we will not have enough water in the country in order for us to sustain, you know, that situation. So we have to go back to the soil whether we like it or not. If the government doesn't want to do it, take it as your privilege to start to learn. And I assure you, the world needs food. So as long as you're growing, we will find a way for us to export our food one way or another.
Now, it seems to me that there are a lot of young people who are not interested in farming.
Yeah, because it's a mentality. If people always on social media and that is taking all of your time, you don't really get to invest and learn into the soil. When you in the soil, you barely have time to go involve. So it's depending on where your mindset there. If you're always in a video game or you're in the shop, a lot of things is time consuming right now. So
yeah. Now there are people, young people who are into farming already, and there's a lot of problems that people encounter in the area of farming. It is not something that is smooth sailing.
Sickness.
For example, like somebody can be in agriculture. Sometimes you plant things, and when you're ready to sell, you can't sell because
I know
they import a lot from overseas. sometimes there are cases where some people believe that the price of the inputs are too high, but the main problem it seems people have is that when they produce, they have a problem with the market.
Well, first off, you say, well, right now, the things that was getting imported from other countries, these things are expected to be in shortage right now because as you can see, look at how green St Lucia is, and just within a month of no rain, how the UV then kill all the trees in our island. You see how that happening, right? So the same way we're being affected in St Lucia. If you're watching the news in the month of May, people getting extreme snow in foreign countries right now there. So as the jet streams is changing, as the magnetic field is weakening, we gonna have a lot of disruption with our crops. Like especially look at the locusts coming from Africa that's eating all of the food. Nobody knows what's gonna come knocking on your door. So the best thing I tell you to do is to grow your food. When you grow food, you're in Zion. The virus that is spreading, as long as you spend a lot of your time in there, you will get a lot of fresh air, you will get water, you'll be able to break the chain of the transmission. That's what's best for you. Does it make sense?
Okay. So I want to get to touch on some situations that happened recently during the isolation time. We know, especially after the alcohol was legalized or was allowed to consume, we noticed like there were some crimes that took place especially some crimes. People committed more crimes to me during that time compared to the other times of the isolation.
Yeah.
In Denry, we saw a situation where the video was passing around where somebody was assaulted under some house. There's another area where somebody was shot and all of that. What is it with our young people? What is it? What can be done to help our young people? Because it seems like a lot of the crimes that are happening, it is young people that are involved. What can be done to help the young people see a different way of life other than that?
You can practice living Ram alone because Ram is a spirit. When you go and get yourself possessed, I mean, people come and play in your mind, tell you, go do this, go do that, and then they ending up laughing at you in the process for going and put your life in a mess. So all the time the alcohol was banned, and then we look at how the situation was good. People and the cannabis, they smoking, and still everybody cool and calm. But from you mixing too many stuff under the influence, you taking this, you doing that, obviously a lot of people will lose their self-control because the virus is designed to target your weak points in order for you to make your life miserable. So if we have our leaders, for instance, you on the road, they're giving how much people tickets, and then people already have the issues. So when you already put in that kind of problems on the mind where you already have your issues, and look, our law enforcement, they're charging you how much money on the road, for not having your insurance paid or not having your license paid. There's so many things that happen, and so all these stuff turn into anxiety because remember, these people, they have family, they have needs. You don't know what's going on with them. So the leaders is the self they really care about. So in the end, you'll always get things happening to people. But the way comparing to how it's happening overseas, it's much lesser. Because look at here, look a lady the last time there, she left the child in the bin, a newborn. I mean, not because you don't want the child, mean you have to put the child in a bin. You can bring the child for, call the emergency services, just tell them you would like assistance, and everything can get sorted out.
Yeah, but the thing is, life is not as simple as that.
I know.
There are things that cause people to do what they do.
I know.
And it may be at that time that her mind was so overwhelmed, or the situation is so overwhelming that in her mind, that is the best thing that she can do for herself.
Well, people under the influence. So if you're in a relationship with that person, and you're in that house, you beating the lady, they're causing problems with each other. So all how the lady seeing to give birth in a time of, you know, biological warfare is too much stress. But instead of, what I'm saying, instead of just putting the child in the bin, you can, you know, check on the emergency personnel, and they will assist you in somehow instead of you doing that. But you know, that's just the way it is. This is what they call the new normal. You will get people doing those things, and we just have to learn to live with it. That's just the way it is when it comes to risk. You will see things, and we just have to take precaution.
Now, a while ago, you probably mentioned about it's almost like a comparison of marijuana and alcohol.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that there is less problem associated with marijuana than alcohol?
By far. Even when people mix it with like cigarette or tobacco, you still see it is much better than people drinking alcohol. Because the main thing with the alcohol, look, there's quarantine and people don't have food to eat and stuff, so you're drinking and you're not feeding yourself properly. It's obviously you're gonna have a mental breakdown, right? It depends on whoever, and especially look that kind of heat wave coming down and people drinking and they don't have water for them to hydrate themselves and fight off the virus. Remember, alcohol dehydrates the body, of course. So that's why I'm happy to see that the rain fall. You know, Mother Nature, when it see things really hot in St Lucia, it always provides. So I'm very proud to see that thing.
So if it is that there is less problems with the marijuana compared to the alcohol, why is it then? Why do you think that alcohol is legalized and marijuana is illegal?
Well, alcohol has, people have to pay the license for liquor. People have to pay the license for liquor every month and stuff. So the government make money out of it. So but down here, the government don't have a proper system to have the coffee shops and stuff set up so they can benefit out of it. So the dealers don't really care whether it's legalized or not legalized. People do what they have to do in order for them to please themselves. But you see there is a big difference between cannabis and alcohol. They also charge a young lady on the road how much pounds of marijuana and stuff, but the people were saying it was imported by boat, so that's why they push in to try and close the fishing port so people cannot, you know, travel on the sea anymore. And then look, they want to bring the tourists from foreign, you know, that thing don't really make sense. You understand? The government, they trying to, you know, push their agenda, and then they want to try and stop another agenda. So what I came out to personally speak to them, I told them, these fishermen, they have the children to feed. As you can see, they have boat, they have vehicles, so they have things to maintain. So if you try and, you know, cut out these people's livelihood, you'll be met with protests and strike. Especially from me, I will not hesitate to stand up, because you all know how the situation is already with people, and then you're just trying to make these people's life more miserable. Now, I understand that they've been having a lot of crime in those places where people fishing and stuff, but it's the alcohol is what lead to a lot of those things. You know, when people thinking of that man eat me already, or that man do me stuff already, and that man do me stuff already, people don't really care, they just react. So I cannot fight against, you know, alcohol too much, but I mean, we have to have it, alcohol set up in a way where there's a time it there and there's a time it not there. We just have to adapt. Like, there's a dry spell. If the government, I understand that you release the ban, but if you see there's a dry spell and no rain not falling, you have to put a plug on the alcohol, because if people cannot drink or get water to purge it out of the system, it's obviously people gonna lose their mind. So I understand that you want to, you know, open the country by phase, but Mother Nature does not care about whatever you want to do. So you have to go with how things is working out in the country.
Now, about the marijuana and the legalization of it, I was looking at a program where even at a university in America, in Mississippi, the people are doing serious research on marijuana, and they have started many years ago. In America right now, they are working heavily on even getting different strains of marijuana for different diseases. But while the Americans are advancing their research and the thing in marijuana, they are sponsoring for the killing of marijuana plantations in the Caribbean. So it seems to me like there is a hypocrisy going on there. America is encouraging or even giving ammunition to the police here to wipe out marijuana farms. But they themselves are doing serious research in marijuana. They are even selling marijuana as medicine in different states. So in a situation like that, where we knew that our rastas were telling us of the benefits of marijuana a long time ago and nobody listens. Instead, they killed the rastas. They shot them instead. Right now, what do you think that we should do with regard to this marijuana thing and how we can use it for medicine? What do you think that we should do to advance so that we can catch up with the progress that has been made in terms of marijuana as medicine?
Well, if you want to see a difference in marijuana, as long as Shastni there, you will get a difference. Because if he was interested, he would have done something. So that's all I can tell you. Our PM does not have any interest. That's life. It's a soil thing, and for some reason he's highly rejective of the soil in St Lucia. You don't see things wasting.
But some people believe that the marijuana, the whole cropping of marijuana can generate employment.
Of course, big time.
But don't you think sometimes that there are those people who are pushing for the legalization of marijuana?
Yeah.
But really, it is not like they're really concerned about health or anything. They just want liberty to smoke.
Well, they deserve it when you look at the amount of victimization and stupidness the system put them through. You don't see majority of those law enforcement people don't even trouble people for that. Why are you going in trouble? Trouble people. These people hands full anyways, so they know what's going on.
So right now, you as a young man, I know that you have been involved in business.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of young people who are leaving school every year, and the government just cannot employ all these people. And sometimes some of them look for work and they cannot find. So it seemed to me like one of the things that we need to be doing is to employ ourselves, to get ourselves employed in doing our own business and all of that. And it seems to me also that the system our school system does not really prepare people for self-employment. And so a lot of people have no idea. They leave school and they have no idea about business. Now, I know that you have been involved in business. You have been, gone to Martinique, get your goods and sell here.
Yeah, man.
So if a young person is listening to that, what advice you would give somebody a young person who wants to get involved in business in this country?
Well, let me start off with me. I never get to go to secondary. I never get to go to college. So my opportunity for me to advance myself, I did it, in my environment, monitor what that one want and find a way to supply it for them. But the way when you go to school, they teach you what you need to know in order for you to get a job in a hotel, and whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, it's set for a specific path. So, it's just a different mindset. It's not when you go to it's just you just have to for instance, all right, you want to be self-employed. You have the internet. You can Google how you can, start your own self-employment movement. Is the technology. It's not like before we needed teachers to educate us. We have the technology. It's all about your mindset. In order for you, your mindset you have to change in order for you to see a difference. Like, look at me as a salesperson. I get up all the time. All I used to do is just buy the stuff from the person and go and supply. Now, as things is not moving, I myself am being forced to go in the soil in order for me to learn how to grow the food. Then I have to go and sell it. So I really love the privilege because I get in touch with Mother Nature and see how things grow and how it's been done, which is a very magical process. I really love and enjoying the experience. So I will always encourage people to get back to the soil. The more you get back to the soil, the better it will be.
Okay, I'm giving you a scenario. Say a young person, they left school, they're 18 years old, left school probably 17 years, and they have been in the house 1 year, they 18 or 19, and they desire to start a business. This person wants to go probably to some other country, buy certain products, and come down back to St. Lucia to sell. What are some of the things that they should bear in mind in the process of doing business? What are the places that they're going to be paying taxes? What are the advice that you're going to give them? What are the things that they need to know in order to be successful in this kind of business?
Well, to be successful really in that kind of business is nenen and power thing. Yeah, honestly. Because you can be trying as hard as you can, and when you reach in the pot and these people don't really like you, you don't have a good relationship with them, you're gonna encounter a lot of difficulty. So you can have all the money, you can have all the investment, as long as you don't have good associates in business, there's no way you'll succeed. So your attitude matters the most. Does that make sense?
So your attitude?
Yeah, attitude means everything, man. Now, my attitude, majority of the time, is positive, but that don't mean I'll not keep it negative. They have to have balance, yeah. Because if you let the person abuse you and you suffer, you're gonna get run over. It's obvious. So you have to live life with balance.
So that is why we hear that expression: your attitude determine your altitude.
Of course.
If you have a good attitude, you'll go higher.
Respect others on your way up, so when you fall down, you can pick yourself right back up. That's why I'm so successful, despite I don't have nothing.
Now, the thing is, that is a very good point there, because it kind of open up a topic that I want to talk about.
Go ahead, man.
When you look at in our society, it appears that generally the girls are doing better than the boys. When you interact with a lot of young men, it is almost like they do not even know how to address themselves.
Yeah, because they've been driven around a lot of bad influence. People who red-eye, they don't want to see you doing better than them. It goes a long way. That's why I try my best to do whatever I can alone, because you never know who waiting for you to push the knife in your back when they get the opportunity. It happens often.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, with girls grow up in the same households as the boys, but yet still you can see that the girls are much, much, much more advanced in business and in almost everything compared to the boys.
Yeah, well, when you look at how boys can go out and venture, and women, they normally be there to see how parents have to take care of the child. People get different experiences, so it's different. It's something that's the women is just more fortunate at the end of the day. Yeah, the way you see majority of parents would look for the daughter, they would look for the daughter more than the son. It depends on how many children people have and stuff. It's a strange thing.
But some people believe that the reason why the girls tend to do better is because girls have the way the girls are raised. They are raised to complete tasks. You have a girl in a house, the girl will be cooking food, washing dishes and things like that. The boys, for the most part, they just go and play and waste time, and sometimes it's like there's no skill that they master. It is not like they're going on the field to really play or anything like that, to play sports. Sometimes they waste a lot of time doing things that do not help them.
Yeah, they've been driven away, man. It's just the way the system is. If you allow yourself to go astray, it happens easy. So the women, when I think about it, if I have a business, is women you're likely to put there because you want to bring guys and groups in to enjoy. So women will always have the upper hand when it comes to business, depending on what they're doing, because everybody have physical, and there's different ways of doing business.
Okay.
If it's physical, you get more men. If it's more mind, you get women.
But also in in different places of work, different businesses, the complaints that I have heard is that when a young man goes to get a job, and as compared to a young woman, if it is a male boss, there is a greater chance that the girl will get that job instead of the guy.
I would do the same.
Why would you do the same?
Because you never know. Sometimes the girl have a daughter, or, women are the ones bearing the children. So when you look at guys, they they are the ones getting women pregnant, but the women have the responsibility, so we have to push for the women more.
No, in this case, I'm not talking about people with children. I'm talking about two people, both of them 19 years old.
Oh, the age, yeah.
19-year-old people going to a place to look for a job. And most times, say like when 7 girls get a job, only 3 boys will get a job.
Oh. I'm not too sure about that because I'm not really, but what you say there is true, but since I'm not really on that kind of task, I'm not too good at dealing with that kind of situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Now, I know that you probably were around during the last election campaign and even probably others before. And one thing that we see during all election campaign is that they always talk about the youth. The youth. But it seems like when the people get in power, there is nothing new that happens for the youth.
Well, they have to learn. We have to learn things the hard way sometimes.
So then, what really should the youth do? Because it looks like the youth is just being used as a way for some people to get votes.
You want something, then right, do it yourself. Why are you relying on politicians right now? That don't make sense. They can't even help themselves right now. They're trying. Does it make sense?
But the thing is,
right now that's how it is. We can't talk about before or more. We focus on the present. Would be better.
Yes. But if we have to develop any country, it is a lot of the young people that you have to get to work if you want to develop the country. So if it is that you want to develop, for example, you want to develop Roseau or wherever it is that you want to develop, you know that for the most part there'll be more younger people than older people.
All right.
And so you have to, to me, in my mind, you have to find a way to do things to target these young people, to employ them.
I have a way, but the thing is it's all about me letting my secrets out. Right now we have plenty of people from foreign that want to come down to St Lucia, right? So instead of we trying to focus on letting the tourists in the places where those hotels are, let's let our foreign citizens come in the hotel, quarantine, get checked if they're alright, let them in the system so they can start to invest money so people can get work. Isn't that a good way to start?
But you make a very good point there, very excellent point.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times when our governments want to do things, they're always looking out to get people from other countries. Now, the thing is, there are St. Lucians in America, England, and those places who have money and are willing to invest in their countries.
But they don't have a choice. They don't want to stay up there anymore, my brother. Why would you leave your island behind for a place that don't even care? Can you imagine you're America, you building house and you doing all those things, and then the coronavirus just stop everything? I mean, that don't really make sense. People seeing like all what they're doing there, it's pointless, so they want to come back to their home.
So how do you think that we could have a situation where the people in America and those places with money can set up businesses where they themselves will make a profit and young people will get employment? Because what happened is, you remember, a lot of the lands that we have for the that can do great projects, it is a lot of times it's foreigners we give those lands to, or we lease them lands to. So what do you think we can do? Because sometimes you can see something that another person cannot see. What can we do to get people with money overseas to invest in their own country to provide jobs for people? What are the things you think you can do?
Well, let's get started, right? We want to curb the spread of the coronavirus, but in order for us to curb the spread, now that's the thing, you keep making me come out and I have to share the secrets that the foreigners want to do. You see, if we take it that deep, everybody invest in it. So that's why I try to keep my conversation limited, I tell you. Because you might want to do that with the investor than to just let that out in the public. Does it make sense?
I understand.
All right, then let's go to something.
So on this channel here, there are a lot of people in America and those places who actually watch that channel.
That's nice.
And there are people who really want to invest into St. Lucia. So maybe if you have an idea, you might be somebody that they might be willing to come and
to me.
do something with.
I'm a salesperson, I'm a businessman, whatever it is, we buy, we ship, we supply, we market we can do it together. There's no envy, no jealousy. Yeah, straight.
Okay, let's go to this thing. Now, we're talking about before coronavirus, huh? We have a situation where almost every big business that we want here, we have to get off people from overseas to invest. Now, there are smaller things that we can do as people, as local people, smaller businesses.
Of course, micro businesses.
Yeah. But when you look at the situation, a young person spending $400 on a pair of shoes, $350 on a pair of shoes, and more money for the clothes, and then every show, every stage show, every person who comes from overseas, they come to this show. And sometimes, let's say if it's a guy, he comes with a girlfriend. So sometimes you have to buy clothes for yourself, shoes for yourself, probably clothes for his girlfriend, and ticket money plus drinks. Now, when you check this thing, for that event, it can cost you easily sometimes at least $500 for that event. And these are things people do a couple of times for the year.
Yeah,
now, sometimes don't you think that we are the problem and we are the reason why we do not make progress?
Well, I'm an entertainer. I don't want to say nothing to offend the entertainment.
No, it is not about offending the entertainment. It is about the truth of progress in the country. If it is that we are going to spend our money on things that do not bring value, why then do we complain? Because a lot of times people vent their frustrations on politicians when things don't work out for them. We know that sometimes politicians drop the ball and they make mistakes. But sometimes we blame politicians unnecessarily. Because you have situations, if we have situations where somebody will for the year spend a certain amount of money on shoes, on clothes, and there are people who probably have more money who do not do that. These same people then blame people for when they cannot get a job, whereas they could have provided their own employment had they used that money in a much better way. So what I'm asking is, are we sometimes not responsible for not making progress?
Well, when it comes to excuses, I'm a business person. I know how it is to deal with excuses. So I try. I don't want to get too much into excuses. Everybody doing things and then they don't know how the outcome is. So like, watch for excuses. These gambling machines, everything out there. So despite you saying you want to invest and then you have that trickster out there messing up your investment, so you will always get a lot of disruptions. They out there. You can't control that.
Yeah.
I can't control that.
No, it's an idea I see that we can actually get into, especially with reference to this virus situation. I have been observing some situations in Jamaica where there are people in Jamaica who are into tourism, and they have like a small place that is not really expensive, and they bring in guests from overseas. There is a program that I watch. It is called Ras Kitchen.
People are already traveling from overseas on cruise ship and stuff in Jamaica.
No, it's not about a cruise ship thing.
No, so how do they travel on plane now? How
they travel on plane. So the way he does this thing is the name of the thing is Ras Kitchen. He's a Rasta guy, and he cooks his food on wood. He has like some wooden houses, and he's excellent in his cooking. But people come in from overseas, and they come to his place, and he cooks for them. And sometimes they have a room or something where the people can live in. And I noticed that there are many people who do that in Jamaica. And the places that they have, their setup is not expensive. And most times it is in the rural areas. It's almost in a forested area sometimes. Sometimes they have some rivers around. But in all of these cases, they cook their food on wood. They give the people the local authentic meals and cuisine. And people come from overseas just to go to these people places.
That's nice.
And I'm seeing like these places are not things that are expensive to do. And I'm asking, is that a model that we can copy in St Lucia?
That can happen easy, and the more we practice those things, like you go on YouTube or wherever it is, you watch what the person do, you invest in that kind of stuff. Yeah, things is gonna go well. Like look at Tamazo there, or the bread and stuff. The business is going well. The only thing is the environment. The highway there is dangerous. So, you know, people have to make investment, but they have to always consider about the environment, because you know, you might want to do something, and if you go and do it in a ghetto where things is not slow, it's poverty. So it's all about your mindset with investment. Like a salesperson, right? You saying, all right, you want to do that there, but if you doing something in a shop and you're expecting people to come to you, is depending on where there is only a limited amount of people you'll get. But if you know how to drive, or you know how to go out there and export the stuff yourself, you're gonna have a blessing. So the best thing right now is self-employment, because the more you have to rely on people to take care of your living for you, it's going to be difficult. You have to go out there, get to know people, take down the contact number, show them what it is you want to invest in. It's a process. So if you don't want to put your mindset to it, there's no way it will work out.
All right. There's the mentality that I guess all of us have heard, that among black people, there's the mentality that some people have, that they do not really want to see their neighbors advance and make progress.
Yeah. I get that a lot.
Do you think that affect business, or do you think it affect your chance of developing and growing as a business person?
It does, but at the end of the day, it mess up the person self, because their mind is full of germs. Their mind is not uplifting. You have to be proactive, not reactive.
So you believe that it is possible that the mentality of the person can affect that kind of mentality can affect business?
Of course, because you get what you get, and then somebody just come and mess it up, then you have to start back all over again. Eventually that person is gonna pay for that, because karma is something, it does it business very well. So all I can tell you is try your best to keep your head up and leave that person to God. They'll deal with him eventually.
Now I noticed there's a Syrian man. I noticed that man mainly on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, he passes in the places.
Right now people mobile
with a bag. Only one bag.
Right now?
Yeah. He has a bag, and he passes in. I always see him at La Pearl on Saturdays and Sundays, I think. Do you think a local person from the community doing that would have success in business? Say like a local person, a 20-year-old, whatever, buying his clothes and going to this community and sell.
The problem with those kind of sale things, a lot of these local people or whoever you speak about, they tell me the kind of pride that I have doing it, they're not seeing they'll have it. So what I can assume is, they are the ones like probably breaking into people's place or having issues with, people. Is your attitude, it goes back to there again. You check it? Now me, I'm a celebrity. I'm in paradise, so I'm not afraid to come out there and explore and make sure that my citizens are doing well, whether people like it or not. So I'll always come out and say what I have to say. That's why I am here.
But the other thing too is in terms of selling, the business of selling. It seemed to me that as an ordinary person trying to get involved in that business, you may be at a disadvantage, it appears sometimes.
Big time. I'm not trying.
Because a lot of the times, the people who you're going to compete with are people that have duty-free concession to bring those things in.
You're still not in my league.
They bring in the things duty-free concession, and the smaller person who's trying to bring those things in, even when the custom people probably can be lenient, they are not lenient at all. And so by the time you finish with these expenses, it becomes you have to sell your thing even higher still. Now, there's a situation where somebody told me a while back, a business person, that they were bringing in certain perishable foods from overseas. and that a big competitor was able to have his food stay on customs and rot. So it seems like, based on the information on the ground, that there are a lot of things that are hidden, traps that are hidden to prevent the small person from making progress in this country. In your dealing and trading as a business person, have you ever experienced those things?
My goodness, man, you asking me about that? That is a serious thing. What you said happening to me. That's why you think it takes so much time to grow. The very people who seen you bringing the stuff in, they eye redder than yours. So when you think you come in there and you'll get through, they're messing you up because they want you to be underneath them or whatever. So you have to find a way to associate and keep things level. It makes sense.
Okay,
everybody have to eat. Nenin and power.
Yeah.
That's special in St Lucia. Whether it's police, whether it's lawyer, whether it's judge, Nenin and power. And they say praise them, like it, share it. You'll know the vibe.
So well, if that is the case, and if there are all these hindrances and all of these things, and they know that, why then are they blaming the young people for everything?
Don't worry about blame. Let people blame, because sometimes that person do that crime, they walk away. That one do that. Bring in that, they still get away. So I don't get myself involved in too many things. What I want to get myself involved is getting my people, educated so we can get the country up and running, and when we have to shut it down. It's an open and closed process. We have to just live with the risk.
So what methods, what style are you going to use to educate your people?
What stands do I use?
What style, what media are you going to use to educate your people on these different things? I noticed.
You can visit me on Facebook. The name is Gaso. I'm posting live videos all the time of how we can get our economy back up and running. So you seen the government coming out trying to make themselves look like they are the ones, having St Lucia in that recovery mode, but it takes me and you to make a difference.
Okay. So once again, Mr. Verano, I just want to thank you for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure, my brother. Like, share, and promote the movement, people.
Keep the fire burning.
Always, man. St Lucia we love.
Yeah, praise God.
All right.